Welcome back to Leading Giants. We are the Influence Mastery Company, and we are talking about entrepreneurship. You've already gone through the Should I Take the Leap module. Now we're going to go through what do I need to know before I take the leap. There are two parts to this in separate modules on what we call scope, and then there's going to be a module on bridging the gap financially, as well as how do I strategically make the leap and what are the considerations and outside factors. So stay on this one so we can put this in small chunking for micro learning. The scope of your business is actually knowing your business model and understanding the 5 steps of that. So we're going to get into it. Now you might say, Dave, I don't even know what I want to sell. I just want to be an entrepreneur and want to know how to make the leap. Well, we have a separate track that we're going to do on how to come up with a business idea, and we'll help you with that. This is an important consulting role that we have. It's not simply a model, but it's actually a seminar that you can enter into to discover ideas and how to actually go through that process of creativity to develop that. But let's assume you already know what you want. You're going to go into scope. The first part of scope is my business concept. What is it? Can you define it? Yes, I want to have a coffee shop on 5th and 7th. We're going to sell coffee and bagels. Okay, awesome. You know what it is. I'm going to be a photographer. We're going to take pictures of this particular audience. I'm going to be an influencer online, and I'm going to sell whatever it happens to be. What is your business concept? The second thing is you need to have what I call a distinct advantage. You might call it a value proposition. The wording value proposition actually falls a little bit short because a value proposition is anything. Here's my value. This is a low-cost pen, and it works. But what's the distinct advantage in there? Because this is the most important part of a value proposition. If you say, well, I'm going to sell water at a great price, and I'm going to do it on this corner. Well, if there's 15 other distributors selling water at a great price on that corner, then you have a value proposition. It's water at a great price, but you can't get it done because you don't have a distinct advantage. What would the distinct advantage be? Well, the distinct advantage would be that you have hired models to sell the water, and these are the most attractive men and women on the block. So you can buy the water from the other people over there for the same price, the same quality water, or you can lay your eyes on the beautiful people here and buy it. I don't know. It's at least something. I wouldn't really hang my hat on that business, but it's at least a distinct advantage. You're setting your business apart. You can use the same analogy to say there are many restaurants in this area and we all serve the same type of food, and if the food itself is not going to be the distinct advantage might be the atmosphere in that particular restaurant, and so people are going to go there. So what is the distinct advantage? I don't mind telling you what it is. I'd like to lay out our game plan here at Leading Giants. First of all, our business concept is to sell influence modules to teach people to be masters of influence, aka giants, in certain levels of tracks of leadership like CEO, entrepreneurship, sales, and also even in finance. And we're going to do that through the means of providing tools and modules at Leading Giants, and then we have marketing opportunities that are tied to podcasts and other things like that. So each one of these things filters together into what the product actually is. But the actual distinct advantage is that we're going to form the whole person. There are many people out there that can teach you how to sell lots of things and teach you how to make all sorts of money. I'm not interested in you being a vice-oriented person who has no self-control, but all sorts of power and money. I want you to keep your wealth, and I want you to expand your influence and to not lose it so that there can be a shockwave, a positive effect that takes place, and you can ultimately become someone incredible through the process, which is why we really emphasize that formation portion of the Leading Giants program that we do, and that distinguishes itself from most programs that are out there. Additionally, we do happen to believe that the strategies that we have for growth and for leadership and influence are also superior, and you would want us to believe that. Who would go out there and say, we don't have a very good product, it's kind of lame, others are better. So we believe we have both of those as the distinct advantage that we have. I would call the fact that we have better programs for expanding entrepreneurship and leadership and influence a strategic advantage, but I would call the distinct strategic advantage the fact that we're shaping you while we're presenting that influence there. The next is value chain structure. Value chain structure is actually how you're going to gather the supplies, build, manufacture, distribute, market, sell, and then recycle anything back into the programs that you have. It's the full path of the product or service that you have coming, entering in, and entering or exiting out. You have to understand that. Where are you going to get these things? Do you have access to these things? Where do you fall short? How do you get that access? A massive part of this is sales and marketing. So I'm going to just put a little note on that, and we're going to hit the next track of what do you need to know before I take the leap on sales and marketing, so we can hit that a little bit harder and keep it in a separate track. The next one is the financial model. On the financial model, there's a lot of people out there who say, oh, I have a great idea, and people really like it, but we don't know how to monetize it yet. So we're going to spend all sorts of time and energy trying to get it going, and then later we're going to figure out the monetization. Why do people do that? Well, because they saw Mark Zuckerberg and a few other people do it, and it worked out just fine. In fact, incredibly great. And if you have an idea that can carry that way, I would definitely weigh it against the counsel and advice of other people who've gone before you to see whether or not it carries the same merit as those. And if you're getting all sorts of feedback like that, the way you're going to know it is because when you show it to people within 4 seconds, you're going to have investors all over it and say, I want to put my money into it. If nobody wants to put their money into this idea and you think the idea is a great idea that you're going to monetize later, I can tell you right now, it's probably going to fail. All right. This is the type of thing that getting, kind of front end early investors that immediately see the value of it. That's going to tell you whether or not this is just a love affair you have with your own idea and if pride got in actually the way of it. Okay. So you need to know how to monetize things. And the way you're going to learn to monetize things is to really understand your sales and marketing. So we're going to get back again, but what is that financial model? What is our cost of goods sold? Okay, this is what it costs to actually build what it is we're selling. This is what it costs for our salespeople to sell what it is we're selling. And then we've got our operating expenses underneath that. The operating expenses at these early stages include these particular things. So we have a gross margin of this, therefore we have a net profit of that. I'm going to tell you right now, if you just got freaked out and you're like, wait, cost of goods sold, did you say gross margin, what is a profit, you're not ready. Okay. Now it doesn't mean you need to be an accountant, but if you're going to be the CEO and an entrepreneur and go build something great, you need to have a basic understanding of what the financial model is in order to scale it and build it and grow it. Now, what I just told you right there is simple. I will also tell you, instead of being freaked out, all you have to do is go to the module that we have, which is called An Entrepreneur's Introduction to Business Finance. This is not an elaborate business finance class because it doesn't need to be. You need to know that you need to get somebody who understands this better than you, but you need to have the basic concepts and a model that actually works. So we're going to show you what those basic concepts are. And the last thing after that is you need a strategy for longevity. What does this mean? Well, do you have a product or do you have a company? And there's a big difference between the two. I recently had somebody come to me with a really great idea. It's an entrepreneur who I admire. And he said, my product is a lead generation technology that I'm going to use on one of the major social media platforms by tying into their API and a few other things. And this technology is going to allow us to sell things in a particular way that others don't right now. I said to him, I love the idea. I think it's great. I think that I would even fancy using this myself. You are aware that this is highly generic in that even though you've got a technology that and an idea that exceeds other people, they could copy it almost instantaneously, and that you're going to have a very short sprint of going unnoticed by competitors while you're gathering customers until somebody else says, this is a great idea, I want it too, or somebody else builds a better idea and it just completely smothers it in the first place. So am I saying to you, don't do it? Not at all. I think it's a good idea. What I am saying to you is, if you're going to do this, you've got to know how to do it fast. You've got to know how to hustle and get ahead of everybody else. And then what you need to do is know what you're going to do with your bounty when you have it for reinvestment into other things or better technologies that advance this cause, because this is going to go out of business fast with competition. If you can answer those questions, you have a business because you're building something for longevity. Otherwise, you merely have a product. The product is going to come and go and be gone right away. So in summary, in your business scope, you need to know your business concept. You need to know your distinct advantage, which is your value proposition, but the particular thing that makes you different and better. You need to know your value chain structure, more on that in sales and marketing. You need to know your financial model, which is your profit model, and you need to know your strategy for longevity. If you do that, you can become a giant and we can go slay dragons.